Hey everybody, Honestly Sarcastic with the Hyperloops here. Today is July 3rd, 2019. So a while back I did a video with the mod, whose name we don't repeat, for the sole purpose of you can't really talk about it too much without FFG and shenanigans, blah blah blah. But so what I wanted to talk about was SWDestinyDB. And as of recent, I've seen a lot of people talk about just different things like they didn't know how to go do this, they didn't know how to go do that. There's a ton of people that didn't know that you don't have to publish a deck in order to, export the file to use on that mod that we don't speak of, which I'm just gonna call Voldemort from now on. So, there's a lot of options there. So the big thing is I wanted to kind of talk about SWDestinyDB and show you guys how to use it a little bit better, more efficiently. Well, I don't think we're gonna complete a deck build, but we'll go through some stuff, right? So now, pretty generic website. They have some decks that popped up recently. Advertisement at the bottom, blah blah blah. I think there's some new stuff here that pops up. I really don't check that much. Or actually, I've never checked it until today. And it's some old stuff, but for the most part, we've got the normal stuff. I don't use my collection, so I'm actually not very familiar with it. But if you have the cards, you can go and add them, and then this way you can kind of build with just your own cards if you want to. Um, but for the most part, let's just jump straight in. So, like, if you hit my decks, it's going to show you all the lists that you have. This is my original profile, so there were 248 decks already used. After I max out, I kind of make another one to more adequately do stuff. Just because with the Patreon, I'm now shifting to have the links to the deck list so people can download the decks instead of having to go through the hassle of building it on their own. So then, like, I really can't like delete a bunch of shit, right? So you'll ignore all of these deck lists that are here, and you can kind of see what I was building a while back. So pretty much, you have the options here: new deck. You can import a deck. You have selection types if you have the different stuff. So like if you labeled your own lists, you can actually sort through them. I haven't. I used to label. I think originally. I haven't labeled in a really long time. Um, but you can do comparison type stuff. The main one is you hit new deck, it'll pop up. You pick your type, hero or villain. If you're neutral, you're just like, well, what the hell, and you have to pick one and move on. Well, like in this situation, we'll just go villain standard, and we'll do this. So now, pops up relatively blank. So what'll happen here is that the initial option shows up as just like this, where you're just like, well, where the fuck are the cards, right? And then if you don't really know, you might think that you have to type all of them, because if you type them, they'll pop up, right? Including ones you can't really use. We can't use this in standard anymore, right? So you have to flip this option for show only owned off, and boom, cards show up. Now, down here in the format type, we have standard, trilogy, infinite. If we click infinite, it's going to increase and put all of the cards. If we click standard, cuts it down. You put trilogy, it cuts it down even further. So let's go back to standard. Actually, you know what? Let's go to trilogy because it'll probably be easier here. So like in trilogy, you'd be like, man, I only have a certain amount of sets. Like I really need to build a deck. I don't know how I want to do it, right? So we're currently on character. The white for hero is uncheck marked, so they don't show it. But even if we clicked hero, it wouldn't show it because we had said that we were a villain option. So there gets some really weird shit where you'd have to like click show unusable, and then they'll pop up. But the problem is that they're also going to show the old shit for the sets that are check marked. So like you can't really do that too much if you have some capability of kind of doing both. If you try to build like Ray Kylo from Spark, it's gonna be a huge pain in the ass. There's ways to get around it, and I guess I'll talk about that real quick. So like once you do that, you can shut off colors, right? So like let's say you have to be mono blue, you can click these colors off and have it cut down. Oh, I just want to know what the blue cards are, or blue characters, and what types. And now if you click here, quantity, once you have it, it'll sort by the ones you have. But that one really doesn't matter. If you want to go by name, it actually starts by name. Normally does that. Whether it has a die or not. So like, let's say you're in upgrades, or I guess upgrades doesn't work. Support. You can click it to put your the ones that have dice on the top or on the bottom. So then from there, the one I use all the time is points cost. So if I click it, it'll go numerical for the point values, and I think on these ones it goes by elite, as opposed to single die. I could be wrong. It might be by single die. I forget. It's been a while since I've looked at it. Once I go back, we can try to see where Jar Jar lines up with stuff, because I think it also goes alphabetical with the cost stuff. So we can see Jar Jar versus Anakin and see where it lines up. If Anakin ends up being first, then it counts the first number because A and then 7. If he's second, then it looks at the elite point cost also. I don't know how it really does most of the stuff, but as long as it's in the ballpark, you'll be fine. So like from here, you could be like, oh, okay, well, Sentinel's the only 8 available in Trilogy. So if you need the cheapest blue guy at the time, this is pre-Spark, Sentinel's the only real option. Then we, Sly at 9, blah, blah, blah. So this will set you up to be more capable of kind of just going through things and like making easier decisions. You can see First Order, you can see Commando Droid, you can make comparisons and kind of decide how you want to cope with that. But even here, we have all 4 colors now, and we're like, all right, there's not a ton of guys to choose from in the villain set of options, including Claudite for the neutral. So it's a relatively large thing there. I use this quite a bit when I'm trying to think, okay, I really want to build around, let's say, Elite Asajj or something. This wouldn't happen in Trilogy, but like standard-wise, I'd be like, oh, I really want to build around Elite Asajj. So I've got 14 points left, and I need to really think of how I want to do this. Do I want to do like an 8 and a 6? Are there 2 7s? Do I just want to, grab like a 12 and a 2-point plot all the way down to 14, and then I can ignore everything pretty much after if I'm not willing to run Bitter, Bitter Rivalry. If I'm willing to run Bitter, I can go to 15, yada yada. So it's definitely something you want to do quite a bit. I do, like I said, I do it a lot for characters when I'm trying to like maneuver stuff around and potentially change, the die size I have available when I start up in the character lineup. Where it becomes really pretty big is pretty much like when you're looking at like upgrades and stuff. So, let's say you're a Asajj, new Django, which we don't even have written in here. You're just like, all right, well, let me shut off red because I can't use them. And you can slowly go through the upgrades, because you're going to have your base set of stuff already in your mind of what you're trying to do, what you're not trying to do. You can more or less figure, all right, I need more 0-cost cards. What's available? All right, no, I need a big, support bomb because I'm making all this money. So what big support bombs do I have? And you can see like, oh, well, I can, run a Star Viper or Shadowcaster, Slave One, including to my fist or whatever's going on. So like it makes things very easy for you to be able to be like, all right, I want something that costs like 2 because I start with 2 resources, and I can't have everything just be super expensive because if an opponent's threatening disrupt, I have a problem. What if I'm playing against C3PO R2 and I'm concerned about them going and showing up disrupt and eating my resources. I want to be able to like cast this thing for 2 prior going to the next round or just whatever setup you're trying to do. What I just said doesn't work too well metaphorically, because like if they're on military camp, they can get you anyway. So like, and if you had the battlefields, then they couldn't fast do it without some sort of action cheat card. But anyways, so this is very relevant for this type stuff. But now let's say you're playing Asajj and like after character has a downgrade on it, takes damage. So like downgrade's a very short list. It's realistically much easier to kind of figure that out. But so like let's say you have Django though, right? So Django, he wants equipment. So if we go back to upgrades, and if you click on filter help, it gives you the normal set of stuff. And I'm actually going to print screen this because this is going to go as a picture on the I'll have below the video. It gives you most of it, right? But if you look closely, we are missing letters from the alphabet in this stuff. So I think one of the ones is like a hidden one. I forget which one it was. But there's different ways to use this, okay? So like affiliation will be like hero, villain, whatever. So like when you get to Ray Kylo, you can set up everything to show up and then flip the affiliation. And now the problem is that sometimes you won't know how to write the affiliation, which could be problematic. But I'll show you some shortcut stuff for trying to learn it, and I'll try to have that cheat sheet there for you. But the big thing here is like, okay, we want Django, we want equipments. So type in general would be like upgrade, support, whatever's going on. Subtype would be the kind of the subsection. So like, Django's a character, that's his type. Bounty hunter's the subtype. So what we can do is you write up the B, you put a colon, which is the 2 dot symbol, and then you can write equipment. And now what'll happen is it'll cut out the list and it'll only show you the items that are pulling up as equipments. So now one thing to keep in mind here is that this only works if the stuff in the DB is correct. There is a great group of people that constantly go through the items to check and update stuff. But early on, you will be missing random stuff from the new set. So become very acclimated with the new set kind of on its own, because you will be missing items, and it could take days, maybe even weeks before someone notices it. I won't go into how to submit the errors as much, but if you're finding pretty big errors like that, I'd say definitely let some people know in one of the discords if you're in any of the big ones. Not sure if you're a looper. If you're a looper, mention it. Spoon does that stuff. Spoonman does that stuff all the time. He's also an artificery. I believe you could probably find him in some of the other ones. I'm not sure if he's in ABG or your Destiny. Maybe Jackalman, really not sure. But Spoonman or Inception's everywhere. If you tell Inception can say bring it up, mention it to people who will get it done, right? So this list is like, okay, here are all of your equipments pre Spark of Hope. So it'll make life much easier. You sort it by cost, and now you're like, all right, well, if I want to generate that free resource for Django, the only item available currently before Spark is Quick Draw Holster. So you can just make much easier decisions here after you've seen the stack, instead of trying to figure out each one individually and like crazy shit. So like this is a pretty big thing here when you're looking for key specific cards like that. But like I said, downgrades kind of already short, but there is a downgrade equipment, which is oddly enough, but it's you have to, for this thing, you have to play the equipment on your own character. So no getting to shot collar the opponent and get that resource, right? But filter wise, you can do a lot of different things. Most of the stuff you won't have to like filter through color, health, like illustrator, subtitle. The cost one is interesting if you just wanted to cut stuff off, but if you just if you filter it by cost, you probably don't have to do anything like that. More or less, you're really just going to use this pretty much on subtype, stuff like uniqueness, text. Text is probably one of the bigger ones, right? Like, so let's say I went to events and I was just like, all right, I want cards that draw. So if I go X and then the colon, I could just write the word draw, and it'll show me all of the events that have the word draw on them. Maybe they don't fit what I'm looking for, but they do have that option. The same applies if you're looking for, let's say, discard. So when you're looking for like kind of mill cards, you'll be able to find stuff like that much more easily. Whether discards your opponent, discards yourself, you want to try to keep this very simple, because the harder you make it, like the bigger it is, the worse off, the worse odds are you're gonna find what you're looking for. So heal or shield, there's lots of keywords you're gonna find that do what you're looking to do. So like it's really important to kind of keep that in mind. You'll be able to find hopefully what you're looking to do. If you wanted something that just kind of like affects support, so you could do that, because sometimes maybe you don't want to discard a support, you just want to bounce it, right? So you're like, oh well, dismantle messes with it, sidestep taps it. But if you had only put like discard, you would have found cards that discard from like hand, as well as discard things from in play. But so for the most part, that's that. With Built to Last, I found myself using this a ton for things like uniqueness. Now, for uniqueness is a little different. So there's it's pretty much Boolean logic. where you have 0, which would be like false, and 1, which would be true. So when we do U:1, it's saying that the uniqueness is true, meaning that each of these cards is only going to be unique. They're only going to show us the unique cards. Like I said, very relevant when you're trying to build a built to last deck. So make SWDestinyDB work for you, right? It will make life easier deck building. Less likely to forget cards when you learn these like small tips and tricks. But like I said, subtype, the uniqueness, and the text end up being the biggest ones for me. I really forget like what some of the other letters stood for, but like as you can see, G's missing, JK is missing, a lot of things between L and O. So we'll get over to cards in this advanced search. So normally I do everything from the deck build, right? But they do have the options here where you can figure out kind of like the different stuff. Now, this makes it easier to find cards that are both hero or villain by not having the affiliation here. Whereas in the deck building, you're kind of stuck with like villain or hero, and if you put all the setup, like you have to like look through cards individually. But like you can look through rarity, right? So like if you look through rarity and only rarity, we didn't care about the rest of it. So we're gonna see tons of stuff. I probably should have cut it back a bit so that we're not pulling up with that. That's the letter Y. So Y is actually rarity. It's not written on that cheat sheet. Um, and it's just something to keep in mind. So that should be, I believe, C for common, U for uncommon, R for rare, and L for legendary. So definitely something to keep in mind. And now, if I'm not mistaken, let's say you wanted to sort by kind of like an or, right? So if you wanted rare or legend, see if this worked right. Yeah, rare or legendary. You put pretty much this thing. It looks like a line. It's usually above the your enter button, and you have to shift for it. But you can do that so you can kind of double sort, right? So like this is an or. Um, there's probably a way to do and, but I've never really looked into that because I've never needed to. Or actually, and would be both times. So like you would write another thing after. So like, so this is a legendary, and we want the, what is it? T to be. Actually, I don't know what the T for character is. I'm gonna try C. Yeah. See, I don't know what the. I've never had to look through that stuff. Um, so let's go look. Let's go find it together. So we'll go legendary and type character. And like the big thing is like you want to find out some of these stuff to make the shortcuts easier. So okay, so he just had to write out character. So you can write out the same thing, I'd assume, for upgrade. Yeah, same thing. Upgrade, support, downgrade. So like that's going to be very useful when you're trying to essentially sort by both. So it needs to be both a legendary and an upgrade, right? So when you do that, you just have multiple. I don't even know what the hell these words are. It's been so long. Sorry, guys. Search terms. Um, but there's lots of little small things like that. You can do by set as well. Set is an no, set's written on the thing. I think it's S. Man, this load time's brutal. We'll have that go through. See if we can hit new deck at the same time. Man, this is apparently the worst time to run this video. Website just failing on me. I only put rivals, so like it shouldn't have been that hard for it to search rivals character. Website just hating. Hating. Hmm. How the video ends. Epic fashion. Lots of fireballs. Yep, SW Destiny just hates. I don't know if this is if the website's fucking up or if just the search is messing everything up. Website's all fucked up. Oh, this is awesome. Great, guys. You guys get to watch incognito mode. Woo-doo. The waiting game commences. So yeah, like that's realistically the big thing is making sure you have that stuff. And I want to hopefully this will load within the next 30 seconds to a minute, so we could talk about completing a deck and then downloading a file to Voldemort. There we go. So really concerned about going back to the search and this thing messing up again. All right, so we got back to the search. Let's go back to rivals. If there's anything on here, that made sense. Like cost and health makes interesting stuff. I really don't mess with that too much because I don't use this search nearly as much. But you have the text, name, subtitle, yada yada, and ways to mix and match this stuff. So for the most part, I hope this portion has been very beneficial to your deck building and your finding of things. Now, let's say for those, I'm gonna say net deck enthusiasts, and I don't say this as a negative connotation. You grab a deck, Like who gives a fuck? But like, let's say you're looking for a deck, or you're just looking for thoughts or ideas. You have the whole deck list thing, and like I don't know if you guys are the type to go through these things one at a time, but there are times where some deck wins. If the person hasn't published it, we want to try to get the information out to you guys, so we kind of have to look for stuff, right? And now you have a recents and hot topics option. So recents will be how long ago posted, but sometimes there'll just be tons of shit getting posted. Going through recents very good during like store championship season when you're trying to see what's been winning, and what people might be taking to events. Um, hot topics will be ones that have like lots of discussion, but the dilemma is that a lot of this is years and years old by this point. We've been around for 3+ years. So now search is the main one you're going to be looking for. So you have the affiliation, you have the formats, whatever's going on. But the big thing is that you can do a character lineup that's easier, right? So like if we wanted to be like, oh, well, what are the decks built with Entourage? We're going down a rabbit hole, fucking looking for a needle in a haystack. But if instead we're like, okay, what deck? Like I want to build, let's say, a Palpatine Watt deck, okay? So then I'm just like, all right, well, is that the right Palp? Yeah, it should be the right Palp. And so now with those two like that, it makes it easier to just search. And now I can see all the Palp Watt decks that have been getting posted, their post dates. So you could go through them and be like, oh, did anybody win something with one of these? Okay, and get ideas, or you can just click on a bunch of them and kind of see where people are going. So, we'll just click on this first one and be like, oh, okay, I don't know what the hell's up with that. But, this person has a deck list. This deck list, unfortunately, is not very good. But in general, the options are there and whatnot, whatever's going on. So now, I guess let's try to see if we can pick something a bit lesser known. There are some times where we get some odd decks. So Sabine, and now calling in favors. There was a point in time where people were playing solo Sabine, right? So this one is much easier to pull out, but there's still apparently a stack of people who played this shit. But you got the jumping flea here getting second place at ETX. So let's say we want to go look at that. You're just boom, you want to get your ideas of stuff you may have been missing. You built your version, right? And you've got 24 cards, and you're like, man, I feel like I'm missing something. Or you're at like 30 cards, and you're like, did I forget anything? I want to go check. So, looking at other people's lists can give you an idea if you forgot anything, right? And then if let's say you're playing and you're struggling, these are very good ideas to do this stuff. Or in general, you want to build this type of deck. Let me go grab somebody else's. Let me grab 3 people's. Compare the lists, right? First place, 20 person stir champ, Rebel Spy, baby. But for the most part, I actually know all 4 of these people because these guys are fucking little bastards. But great people. That's more or less how you search the deck list stuff. So like that's very beneficial if you're looking for a specific type of deck. You want the list, whatever's going on. The only dilemma is that this requires people to have posted the list. So now let's go over back to my decks, right? And we're gonna go kick it super old school. I'm gonna scroll straight to the bottom. On a sarcastic Bar Ray. But so let's go look at Rainbow Troopers, right? So like this is my OG Rainbow Troopers. Like I think this deck could win Worlds from way back in the day. So now you've built your deck, you finished it. All you have to do is hit save. You don't have to hit publish. Now from here, you have this beautiful little download button, and Voldemort is right here. Okay, so you would click it. You get a pop up on your PC or download the file based on how you save it, and then you just have to move it to the correct folder it needs to be in, so you could use it in Voldemort once the mod loads up. In general, though, let's say you've looked at someone's list. And you liked it. I want this, Halo for Gods Infinite Way of the Force, right? You can click copy, and it'll make a clone of it into your deck lists. So now you have it here. If you now want to download it, you click it. In theory, you would have just downloaded straight from the other guys instead of downloading this way. But you could keep it and then download it so that if you played it and there were stuck cards you hated, you can go and you edit, make whatever changes you want to make. That is very much an option. It's very important to keep that in play. I don't know what the hell I hit there. I thought I hit cancel. Did I hit clone again or something? But we'll trash this. Oh, it's because I was on this 248. I somehow got to 249. And I think nowadays it's 200 slots. So this might be like old account setup shit. But so like that's more or less how you'd want to go do that, right? And definitely a big thing. I hope this was very useful to you guys. In general, if you click the rules thing, there's a lot of helpful stuff in here. I don't know how old this is. I haven't seen this in a long time. Or actually, I've never seen this until today, to be honest. I was looking around the website. So if this was ripped from the RRG, that's cool. I know the FAQ, the last time it was touched was Legacies. Because of the table of contents getting down to just Legacies here for the card stuff. So there's a lot of beneficial things in here, especially with the older cards. If you're playing like Infinite or you're just a newer player and there's some stuff you wanted to be able to like kind of go peep, right? So that's very beneficial. Also, in your... I'm concerned about clicking this profile thing. There being information I don't want out. Give me 1 second. I just set off peak for a second. Or like 5 seconds because this thing's going slow. Sorry, I want to teach you guys stuff, but I also don't want any random ass info getting out that I'd regret for having to delete this video. But this thing's loading so slow. Why does it hate me? All right. 1 second. Ugh. All right. So I'm hitting edit profile now. So yeah, none of this is bad. All right, let me turn this back on. So this is edit profile, okay? So you get the username, you get your email address, whatever other stuff you want to write. So you have like be notified when user comments on your deck list, when user comments on the deck list you commented, be notified when user mentions you in a comment. Share your decks here is probably one of the bigger ones you'll want to be able to hit. Because once you have share your decks and you hit save, you can then send those links to friends, right? This has been very big for our Discord. Because if people want the list to be able to download or like, I link that stuff, when you go in the deck build, it's going to have a number for the URL. So you can actually send that URL to other people as long as you have that set up for share whenever it decides to want to show up. Really hate that it's doing this right here. Yeah, see, so like this is the, the whole link and it's 822.134. So pretty important. I did want to thank the guy who's been doing most of this stuff. And I meant to do it at the beginning of the video, but I completely forgot. So this was mainly done by Franco or FA Franco 82. Someone else set this up a long time ago. Alciende, did it for Netrunner and Thrones DB, and Franco, modified it to SWDestiny. But realistically, without him and the great community that goes and submits the pull requests to, keep this running smooth, we'd be all sorts of fucked up trying to figure out what cards are what. Like, I don't know about you, but before this had, Spark of Hope cards, when we had some spoilers and I was looking for like the pictures so I can re-verify whatever cards, my ass had to keep going through our own goddamn articles to like find what the hell the card looked like, to reconfirm, make sure that whatever stuff was correct, because there's random mistakes on this website, right? But down at the bottom, if you use this a ton, you're playing it a ton, you want to contribute to Franco, they have the option right here to go to the PayPal and do stuff. Also, when you donate, you get removed from your ads get removed from the website. They're not huge things, but here's a list of contributors who've donated. I don't know, when's the last time this was updated or anything like that. But if once you contribute, you can get on this list, and then you won't have ads, right? But more or less, that's SWDestinyDB in a nutshell. I've gone 31 minutes on this, probably about like 12 minutes too long of kind of bullshit. But that's the gist. I hope this, works out well for you guys. Checking cards by set is also very beneficial here, but like you can do it from the search builder if you want at the same time. Let's go spend a quick minute doing that, unless this website hates me, and then we'll cut the video off early. But realistically, I hope anyone that kind of wasn't aware of this stuff, it becomes, very helpful. On the deck builder portion, though, if you put the check mark for show unusable cards, you can get Spark of Hope to show up. The only issue will be is that you have to like uncheck mark kind of the old sets, and that might mess you up severely for reprints. So, doubts, blanks potentially, like any electroshock, any of the older versions. If you shut off the old cards, it does mess with them quite a bit. So like, you can add a stack of all the other cards to your deck, and then go in, flip it over to Spark, add the Spark cards, and then go back and make cuts. That's probably my best suggestion for if you need to go through the Spark stuff and you can't remember half the cards and you wanted to really look at them in the deck builder. Or you just pull up Spark like this and just go through the stuff and type in the card you want in the deck builder. But hopefully that's been very useful to you guys. Keep in mind you can sort this by different stuff, types, factions, whatever. And because this is a search query, you can go and add the other stuff to cut them out. So affiliations there. I believe that does it like this. Just be careful, because capitals are capitals and lowercases are lowercase. I wish this would give us a kickback right away if shit was wrong or right, because I don't know if I need the V for villain. I guess it may not mean caps and villain, because villain here is uppercase, but that they might be fine with that. In my mind, I always see the sets with the uppercase, lowercase, and that messes with me, because ASCII, very particular about those sets, but he might have it where it just kind of does like an absolute value thing, or uppercase, lowercase, and doesn't care. But at least you can you can cut stuff down if you needed to in this. You can just switch colors or whatever. So like you still have that option of, oh, I want to see Spark of Hope, but I want to see the unique cards only. I'm building built to last, right? Don't know whether I'm hero or villain, but I'm building built to last. Come on, SW Destiny. All this downtime, man. All this downtime. I feel like a crazed maniac. Just want to give this last one a shot before we go. Jesus. Come on, little website. You could do it. You could do it. All right. Well, fuck it. So anyways, thanks for watching. I hope this was very beneficial to you guys. Let us know, comments, subscribe, whatever. I haven't been putting out a ton of public videos. Like I said, I've been really focusing on the Patreon. So my apologies. I'm gonna see if I can start getting back into the swing of things with some public stuff. The only dilemma is that we're going to be moving away from Voldemort as far as public things are concerned, because we want to be able to bring you, streams and um, spoilers and things like that. So, we need some level of discretion as far as, um, kind of not saying like these things that are, that breaks terms for them are great, and that we should always continue doing them and using them because they're amazing. Amazing. But yeah, see, so we got that one to work with uniques, which obviously, all of the elite characters pull up with. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and I'll put in the shortcut stuff below the video. Thanks again. Deuces.